the names.
You
Calling
just
from a
did what you needed to
631
do
area
there.
code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Dan. I called in a couple of years ago to talk about libertarianism and that. So I thought I'd call in about that again because I've been catching up on some of your your videos on YouTube with these debates and that.
Right.
So you had one about a year ago with the guy that forgot why he called in while he was talking to you.
That
And
happens
I was
with
watching
libertarians. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said something very interesting towards the end of that one, though. You said that Walmart, gets more out of the state-funded infrastructure than the rest of us do, and that Walmart would go out of business if it weren't for this interstate highway system that the government takes care of for them. So I'm thinking isn't that two birds, one stone? You save the money and you get rid of Walmart in the process. So yeah, what's the issue?
So you're suggesting that if we get rid of the whole road system, we'll get rid of Walmart. Well, I mean, I may have been using Walmart as an example, but it would also be the case for smaller stores too and smaller operations. And it also would make it hard for you. Let's say you had to travel to a job or go to the hospital and needed to go on the highway. It would make it also difficult for you to get your mail. So I think you may have been taking it just a little bit too narrowly. I think I was making like a point that I was hoping would illustrate things.
But I mean, local roads, like to get mail or whatever, those are easily affordable by, I'm not necessarily advocating private roads or whatever, but I think that's a perfect instance of where that could be, in theory, like they have the resources to handle that.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's assume, now, where do you live again? You don't have to tell me exactly, but I mean, just the general
address, please.
The city or the state?
I'm currently living in upstate New York.
Okay, so let's just say you live in, let's say, Utica, okay? I don't know if you live in Utica or Elmira, okay? But somebody wants to send you a letter from Florida. Now, they could fly, but you also know that, these airports are not privately built, right? They're built by the government.
Right.
Right. So they're going to have to fly via a government-built airport to another government-built airport, certainly with federal subsidies, if not the full bill. And then they get into like JFK, or even if they get into Albany, they're going to have to take a highway to get to Utica or to Elmira. So you could just have local mail, and that you wouldn't run into that problem. But I think you might be getting a little bit too narrowly fixated on the funding for the highways. What is your overall point? That we just don't need a federal government?
I mean, what I'm saying is, just no subsidies toward transportation. This transportation should always be paid for by, like, take Walmart, for example. If they had to pay for, the weights that they're moving, if they had to fund that themselves, they'd go out of business. Like
That's
you said.
correct. And they would never actually be able to fund it up front either, would they?
Oh, of course not. No.
Right.
No.
So what's the point here now? That you want to get rid of Walmart and the highways.
Where are you going to get your jetpack then?
One stone.
What's that?
You know?
No, I know we're getting two birds, one
stone.
stone. No, I get that concept, but you're not just taking out two birds. You're taking out a whole flock of birds. You're taking out the trees. You're taking out the bird baths. You're taking out a lot of other things besides the birds. You understand that? It's not just...
I don't know. I mean...
Walmart is not the only people who need highways.
Given that the highways are here, What I'm saying is if you just funded them entirely with tolls on, 18 or 16-wheel trucks, and, then, because those are the ones that do 90% of the damage that needs repair.
Okay, so you're calling me because you're suggesting that we should have higher toll rates. Maybe we could do a gas tax. How's that?
Well, the problem with gas taxes, there's two problems with them. One is that the relationship between gas consumption and weight is linear, whereas the relationship between weight and damage to the roads is exponential. But the other problem is that gas consumption, perversely, is something that it takes more gas to travel on the worst roads. So you would actually be charging the people who get the shoddier construction more for the privilege of having the worst construction.
Let me just. I mean, I know you've been saving up for a year for this, but I mean, what exactly are we arguing here? You're arguing in favor of tolls, and is this a
weight-based toll? Yeah.
I'm sorry. So let me just step back and just to take like a 30-foot view of what's going on here. You called in a year ago. You've been looking at my material. You've waited to call in, and you want to have an argument with me about weight-based tolls. I mean,
I'm just saying that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, your argument about Walmart that you made a year ago is really a perfect argument against the government subsidizing these things. Because if the government didn't subsidize them, if everyone had to pay their own share, that would be a perfect way to, sort of strangle Walmart, Target.
No, but wait a second. You understand? Okay, but first off, there are bigger tolls for trucks on the highways. I mean, you must be aware of that, right? If you have multiple axles, you get charged a different rate. But putting that aside,
to an extent, but
right? No, okay, I get it. And I will concede, I am not prepared to have a full-throated argument for or against increasing tolls and how you would go about doing that. But there's also other more, I think, direct ways in which you can if you want to deal with the issue of monopolies, you can do that. I'm not quite clear on what you are. And I think gas taxes may not be the most efficient way of providing for federal subsidies, but for highways. But I think there's other benefits to gas taxes, right? In that you're cutting down carbon emissions, and pollutants, which society pays for in other ways. There's always going to be externalities, and that we're paying for. But I don't know what your argument is beyond this narrow question of how we should impose tolls on trucks.
I'm just saying that no taxpayer money should be going to fund transportation, because that way you're basically just propping up.
So you realize you'd have
Walmart
no
and
trains.
Target.
You'd have no trains either. You'd have no passenger trains, except for maybe in the Northeast Corridor.
Well, I don't think any tax money should go to those. I mean, again, given that the railroads have
so
been
you understand that you would have no passenger rail but for like the Northeast Corridor and maybe some segments on the coast.
I guess. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's not.
Whatever
I guess
people
that's
are
true.
willing to pay
and
for
if you would have no bus systems, local bus systems.
Well, wait, why not? Why wouldn't there be local bus systems?
Seriously.
I mean, if people are paying the price of the bus tickets or whatever, I don't see how they couldn't fund.
They don't. They don't. There are no public transportation systems that fully pay for themselves.
Right. So that's what's got to be changed, is just only have public transportation that people are willing to pay for.
Right. Okay.
I mean, the end game.
So in other words,
the end game.
Let me just reiterate what you said in a different way that is actually more reality based. There will be no public transportation in any meaningful way?
Perhaps not. I don't know the numbers.
Do you take the bus?
Rarely.
Right.
I mean, if I'm going somewhere local, I walk.
Okay.
And, going from one town to another, then, bus.
Yeah. All right, well, X that out.
This might harm growth. Not that that's the main
all right, well,
worry,
listen. Peter Teal is here. He has a question for you.
Hello, how are you, young man?
Hi.
Hi. It's been excruciating to listen to you, but no offense. Sam seems to love this, so I indulge him before I bankrupt this entire disgusting little show. But I did have a question for you. Are you Greg's son?
Who?
Greg, are you his son? He's a disgusting man who calls this show.
Okay. Peter Teal
I don't think so.
All
You don't
Peter,
think-
this is why Peter Teal's
You don't know if you're
You're not.
Greg's son. I hope not.
Well, listen. I appreciate the call. I'm a little bit backed up today. I want to encourage you to call. Don't wait a year.
He doesn't think
Wait,
so.
hold
Bless
on,
his
hold on,
heart.
Hold on. Don't wait a year to call in again. But do go and just run the numbers a little bit. If you think that there should be no subsidies for public transportation, run the numbers a little bit and call back and make an argument to me why there should be no public transportation. Okay?
All right.
And it's Greg, your father.
I mean, it's the taxpayers. It's not federal dollars, right? Locally, but you're talking about taxpayers. Taxpayers also pay for the roads, right? I mean, even the local roads.
Can we at least agree on the federal part of this? Can we at least
Probably
agree
not.
on that? The interstate.
Probably not. Probably not. But all right. But look, call back because I don't have that much time. But I appreciate it.
How old are you, young man?
No, stop it. All right.
I'm interested in blood. Shut up, Sam. You've never had blood in your life.
We'll talk to you
That's
later.
why you look like you're dying.
I appreciate the call. Thank you. Please.
That's why you look so disgusting and exhausted.
No,
I hate you so
all right,
much.
I'm going to take one more call. I got to get out of here in 5. I got to get out of here in 5 minutes. I got to take one more call. We're laughing because there's a tweet from a Jimmy Durr who says Hillbot at Sam Cedar defends Walmart over better weight-based toll roads. Shocker wants to kill local biz. At Majority FM, Matt Leck and Michael Brooks. So, boy, I'm like between a rock and a hard place here. You're calling from a 916 area code. You are the final call. Hi, folks. Sam Cedar here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos